Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm sure we all know that healthcare is a very delicate profession. I keep talking about that. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about three different things that are not allowed for healthcare professionals to do in the UK. And I'm also going to talk about what you should do rightfully in each of those instances, because these are really simple things, especially if you've moved from overseas. These are things that are not really frowned upon. Nobody really cares about them. But in the UK, these are massive things, and if you do any of these three things, you're likely going to be sacked, for example. And if you're a nurse or a midwife or a doctor, you're likely to be struck off as well from the General Medical Council or from the Nursing and Midwifery Council. So if you're a healthcare professional in the UK right now, or you're planning to move to the UK in healthcare or even any sector, just understanding the etiquette within this country, the culture, the expectations, you know what I mean? You need to watch this video till the very end so they can get all these details. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. What should you be careful about? You need to watch your back kind of thing. And so if you're new to my channel, you're welcome. If you are a returning subscriber, I absolutely appreciate your time on here. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, you don't want to be a stranger on here. You want to hit that subscribe button right now so that you're the first to be notified every single day when I drop a new video on here at 10 a.m. prompt UK time. Because look, my idea, my objective, my intention is bringing you the best info so that you can thrive in the UK. If you're still out of this country, free UK visa sponsorship opportunities that you can get to this country without spending thousands of pounds, without spending millions of money, getting in debt, getting bankrupt, and just being broke. Also, work from home jobs that you can do without a degree, without any qualifications, to earn extra income so that you're not really struggling hand to mouth, month in, month out. I share information about all these things through my free newsletter, which if you check the comment section below, you see a link to that newsletter. Once you join, I send that info directly to your inbox. One thing that I'm also really passionate about is career progression in the UK. Look, for me, getting to the UK is not all that. It's what you do with yourself when you get to this beautiful country that is ultimately going to make all the difference. So, as somebody who I started my own UK career working as a carer in a nursing home, I then studied nursing as an international student, graduating with a first class degree in adult nursing. I went on to do mentorship in nursing at master's level, and right now I'm concluding my third year Master of Science in Advanced Clinical Practice. Look, within 5 years of qualifying as a nurse, I was already working as an advanced nurse practitioner, which is the most senior clinical nursing position in the profession. So career progression is something that I'm really passionate about. And for me, it makes moving to the UK worthwhile. It makes staying in this beautiful country really worth my time. Otherwise, look, I would pack my things and leave because it would be worth nothing being in this country for me. So work from home jobs as well, like I've said previously, as well as starting your own side business. Look, I go on about career progression, but you need to ultimately be thinking about independence. When you think about yourself 20 years, 30 years from today, do you see yourself employed? You should be thinking about some sort of independence. And that's why I talk about side hustle ideas as well. So I share all of those through my newsletter, which I've dropped a link in the comment section. It won't take you 20 seconds to join. You drop your name and email, and you're part of that. But if you need that tailored, individualized, and personalized guidance about any of the things I've mentioned here, then consider joining my private coaching program, which you can find a link on the description box below or the about section of this YouTube channel, to make sure that you join and get that personalized guidance to get you to success. So, what is the first thing that we should talk about? The first thing is relationships. Look, having personal relationships with your patients, you know what I mean? Being nice, no, you need to keep everything professional. You need to know that you are a professional, you know what I mean? And you need to maintain those professional boundaries. If you're watching this and you are a nurse, for example, or you're a midwife, even a carer, it would help you. Go to the NMC website and look at the NMC Code of Conduct. So that is like our little Bible as nurses, midwives. Look, it's gonna guide you. You are not, well, you should not be having a personal relationship with your client. It doesn't matter whether, say for example, you have somebody who, let's say you work in a hospital, you have somebody who is a patient and then they're discharged home, and then you meet them 20 years later to have a relationship. You should not be doing that if you're still working as a healthcare professional, because you know what I mean, it's not allowed having personal relationships. So many people have gotten into trouble for this many of these people as well, overseas candidates, people that move to the UK and maybe back home, certain things are allowed, nobody's going to say anything. I have this nurse who is part of my private coaching program now. When I talked about this aspect during one of our live sessions, she was like, Melvis, I met my husband, he was a patient where I was working, and that's how we met. They've been married for, I think, maybe over 30 years now. They've got kids. They are happily married. They have moved to the UK right now together. But if that is in the UK, this is frowned upon and you will be sacked if this happens, because your patients are vulnerable, you know what I mean? And you should not be, leave the lines there. It's a professional relationship. Leave it at that. Do not cross the line. Don't think about anything else. Just focus on your job. Maintain those professional boundaries. I'm saying this because this is the top reason why many people have been sacked in this country. And the truth is, the more overseas people are coming, or candidates or workers are coming, the more people are sacked because of this particular reason. And again, is that cultural difference that exists here in the UK, because it is really, really frowned upon. So contacting people, sending messages, Googling and checking on Facebook, do not do that. Treat your patients as the patient that they are, professionally. They're discharged, gone, forgotten, you move on. So again, that's the first thing. The second aspect is accepting money. Look, so many people also get into trouble for accepting money from their clients. So what should you do instead? If somebody's trying to offer you money, personally, let me tell you what I do. If I go to work and a patient of mine or even a relative comes and they're like, Melvis, we're really grateful for the care that you've given to us, and just take this £10, you know what I mean, and get something for yourself. I always thank them. I'm like, I'm really grateful, for this, for the, you've been very appreciative. It's my job. That's what I should be doing. That's why I'm rightfully paid. I appreciate this. If you would like to say thank you, can you write a few words down, please? So what I do is I give them a piece of paper. Most places in this country would have feedback form. So what you should do instead, that's what I do personally. So I don't take the money, but I give them a feedback form and I say, can you write your feedback here from your experience? And by the way, we should be giving these feedback forms to everybody, all our patients, our clients, relatives, so that they can give feedback, because we use this feedback in order to improve our services. So tell them to write it down. When they write it down, they may include your name, they may not, it doesn't matter. But that's what I do personally. And being a qualified nurse myself, I use that information for my revalidation. Because if somebody says Melvis was really brilliant today, or Melvis didn't do very well, Melvis could have improved her care by doing XYZ, I take that information and I keep it for revalidation. Because revalidation, in case you're wondering what it is, if you're a qualified nurse or midwife in the UK, doctors do that as well. Every registered professional is more of a reflective exercise to make sure that you're improving your practice, you're thinking about what you're doing. So I use that, obviously, once every 3 years. I add that for my revalidation. So I don't take the money. But if you do take the money, for example, you know what I mean? You're supposed to hand it over to your manager. Let's say they give you, I don't know, £10. You need to take it to your manager and say, look, the relative of AY or whoever it is, XY, give this for the ward. You give it that way. It's always a lot easier when relatives bring like sweets. Many people bring sweets, biscuits, things like that. It's a lot easier because you just take it out, you put it at the nurse's station, doctors, whoever is there, people eat it. There's never any qualms. But when it comes to money, you need to be very careful. In fact, last year, a nurse in the UK was sacked and struck off by the NMC because apparently a relative or a family member, whoever it was, gave £80 to this nurse. The nurse took it and presented, I think it was £20 to the manager. So when the NMC found out, obviously somebody reported her to the NMC for that, she was sacked and struck off. And when I saw the tweet, obviously there was outcry on social media. People were angry and saying, how can you sack a nurse for a reason like this? But the truth is that it's part of the NMC code of conduct, and as healthcare professionals, you should not be accepting money from whether your patients, your relatives, or all of that. So just say no. Thank them. Don't take the money. But if you do take the money, you're supposed to hand it over, obviously, to the ward. It's not your personal money for you to keep. But like I've said, that's what I do. I don't take the money. I tell them to write down a few words, which I use for my revalidation. And it goes also to give feedback about the services and to improve what we do as healthcare professionals. So that's number 2. So gifts, money as well, and all of that. And if you're watching this, by the way, make sure you share this video with your friends, because these are things that seem really easy, but like I've said, these are the top reasons why many people get sacked and struck off. If you've got any questions as I'm going along yapping about, please do leave them in the comment section below. And if you need that personalized guidance, obviously with your career progression in the UK, securing free visa sponsorship opportunities, you're a nurse, you're thinking, oh my God, I want to get into specialist nursing, I want to develop into a manager, nurse practitioner, advanced nurse practitioner, nurse anesthetist, you can check out my private coaching program in the description box below or the about section of this channel. Once you join, then I guide you with that journey. Also, if you're part of my private coaching program, we normally go through all these things that I'm talking about in depth, in detail, to make sure that all of us are aware of the expectations. Because the truth is, nobody's going to sit down with you in this country and say, Melvis, you're not allowed to do X, Y, Z. But what you will find out is that you're going to do something that is not allowed and you're going to get sacked. But then it's already way too late. So that's the second. The third one is personal records. Look, you may be in healthcare, you've got access to access your personal records or the records of your friends, family, and all of that. You must never log in to access your records or the records of anybody that is not your patient, that particular time. Which means that even if you've had, say, a CT scan yourself, you cannot log in, to look at your CT results. Or if your child is unwell, you cannot log in and say, oh no, my son is not well or whatever. You log in to have a look at their records or to request things were still and all of that. We are not allowed to do that. Again, recently, a midwife, a very experienced midwife, was sacked and struck off because she requested blood tests for herself. So, you know what I mean? Even though we've got access to all of these facilities, there are the pathways that we need to pursue in order to access records. So, if you want to access your own records, obviously you need to go to your GP to make sure that you do that properly. If it's your relative, for example, you need to have consent. Let's say your next of kin is your wife, your husband, your child, for example. But you cannot just go about accessing people's records, random people, because you're trying to have a look and see what's happened. It is illegal. It's a terrible thing to do. Professionally, it is not a good idea. And please don't be tempted to do that, because you've got that power, you've got access to that information, but you're not allowed to access it. So we should not do that. I know that this can be very tempting, to just think, oh, I'm just going to snitch and have a look. Surely it's not that bad. If you're found out, you will be sacked and struck off. So now you know about this, I know that you're not going to do it. And also, it's the same thing with caring for, say, friends, family, relatives. So if you're working on a particular ward and your relative is admitted or somebody that you know, it's okay to say, look, I know Melvis, I've cared for her. She's my friend or whatever. I don't feel comfortable caring for Melvis because of that risk of bias. So I'm going to look after another patient instead. You can do that. That's absolutely allowed. But it's about declaring like kind of like conflict of interest kind of thing. So these are very little things that, well, these are things that may seem very little, but if they do happen, you can easily get sacked. And so when people get sacked, they're like, this UK, that's ridiculous. You should have just given them a warning. But that is what the rules are. So it is up to you to know what the rules are. There are so many other rules and things that we are not allowed to do, but it's really up to you as a professional to make sure that you're aware of what they are. Because like I said previously, nobody's going to sit down with you and say, oh, Melvis, what are you allowed? What are you not allowed? No, it is just assumed that as a professional, you're going to behave morally upright, you're going to be professionally perfect, and you're not going to do anything wrong whatsoever. And that's why I'm giving you guidance. If you check the NMC Code of Conduct, which is the Nursing and Midwifery Council Code of Conduct, it's like social media as well. If you share any information on social media that is able to identify your patients, you can be sacked and struck off as well. So you need to be really careful what information you're sharing, who you're interacting with, what you're saying, that you understand these policies perfectly well, inside out, and you do not go against any of them. Because this country, the laws and the rules are very different from other countries, and they will respect them to the latter when things go wrong. What do you think about all these different things I've spoken about? Do you think they are ballistic? Do you think they're okay? Do you think they're right? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Also, if you haven't subscribed, you want to hit that subscribe button. If you haven't joined my free newsletter, check the comment section below and I'll send that info directly to your inbox. But if you need that tailored, individualized, and personalized guidance, consider joining my private coaching program, which you'll find a link in the description box or the about section of this channel, to make sure that you don't get into any of these troubles. You know what I mean? I'm guiding you and you know exactly what you should do. Check this other video right here.